The mourning alien mother Valari stood alone under a broken sky. The clouds were dark. The wind carried the smell of fire, ash, and something worse. Death. Ruins of her city lay around her, cold and silent. The war was over, but peace had not returned. Not for her. She held a small, lifeless body close to her chest. It was her son, Lian. His skin, once glowing blue, was now pale and cold. His eyes were closed, and his chest did not rise anymore. He had been only 7 cycles old. Too young, too kind, too innocent. "Wake up," she whispered. "Please wake up." But he didn't. He never would. The planet had been attacked by humans. They came with fire and machines. Valari's people tried to defend, but they were weaker. Lian was caught in the blast of a human drone strike. They said it was a mistake. To Valari, it was murder. She sat on the ground. She didn't care that her dress was covered in dirt and blood. She didn't care that it was dangerous to stay out here. She just wanted to hold him for a little longer. Above her, the stars blinked. They looked down like silent watchers. She used to tell Lian stories about those stars. "Each one holds a world," she used to say. "And on one of them, someone is looking at us too." But now all stars looked empty, meaningless. Behind the rocks, a human was watching, not a soldier, not a killer. His name was Dr. Elliot Hale. He was a scientist, not a fighter. He had come to study the ruins after the ceasefire, but when he saw Valari, everything changed. Elliot stayed hidden. His hand was on his recording device, but he forgot to press it. He was watching something no human had ever seen before. A grieving alien mother. Her pain looked like his own. His daughter had died 2 years ago. Cancer. Slow and cruel. He had held her in the hospital bed, just like Valari was holding her son, now. He remembered the sound of her final breath. Soft, like wind leaving a broken window. Elliot took a step forward, then stopped. What could he even say? "I'm sorry" would be useless. She would never forgive his kind. He quietly took out a small drone and sent it up to record the scene from above. Not for research, not for science, for memory, for truth. Valari kissed Lian's forehead. Her tears fell on his face, but they did not wake him. She placed a glowing stone on his chest. It was a crystal from their family shrine. It was said to hold the last breath of the soul. Maybe, in some way, he was still here. "I will not forget you," she said. "But I will not forgive them." Her voice was soft but sharp like ice. Elliot felt those words cut into his heart. He turned off his drone and stepped back, careful not to make a sound. But a part of him stayed there, with her, with the child, with the pain. He went back to his lab that night and couldn't sleep. The image of Valari's face stayed in his mind. Not because she was alien, but because she was a mother. The next day he watched the video again. Then again. He paused at the moment when she placed the crystal on Lian's chest. Something inside him changed. Elliot had read theories, old papers, secret tech about cell revival. It was illegal, untested, impossible. But now, he didn't care. He opened the files again. "What if?" he whispered. Maybe there was a chance. He didn't know her name. He didn't know if she would ever trust him. But he knew one thing. She had lost her son. He had lost his daughter. And maybe, just maybe, one broken heart could help another. Back on the ruined planet, Valari buried Lian beneath a silver tree. The tree's roots wrapped around him like gentle arms. She stood there for hours, silent, still. Then she walked away. But someone had already made a silent promise. The human scientist's promise, Dar. Elliot Hale couldn't sleep. Not after what he saw. His room on the space station was dark, but his mind was loud. Louder than the engines, louder than the silence of space. The memory of that alien mother haunted him. Not because she was different, but because her grief looked just like his own. He turned on the screen in front of him. Again, the same video. Frame by frame, he watched her hold the body of her child, her eyes red from crying, her hands shaking as she placed the glowing crystal on the boy's chest. "She's not a threat," he whispered. "She's a mother." And yet no one else saw it. To the military, she was just one more alien. To the command center, that ruined city was just Zone 5, post-conflict. To Elliot, it was something else. It was a graveyard, and maybe a chance. His fingers hovered over a locked file. It was marked Revival Project, Banned. It was research he had started long ago after his daughter died. He had studied alien cell structures, cloning tech, and soul transfer theories. But when he got too close, they shut it down. Too dangerous, too unnatural, too powerful. But now, watching Valari on that screen, something inside him cracked. He opened the file. A warning flashed. Accessing this data may result in permanent exile. He didn't care. He clicked Proceed. 6 years ago, Elliot's daughter June had died in his arms. Her small body faded away like a candle going out. The doctor said, "There's nothing more we can do." But that wasn't true. Elliot was a genius. He knew cells could be reactivated. He believed memory was not just in the brain, but also in the DNA. He believed that maybe death wasn't the end. But no one listened. He buried June on Earth and left the planet forever. Now here he was, staring at another child's death. But this time he could do something. Elliot sent a message to an old friend. Dr. Savin Lee, once a top mind in xenobiology, now living in hiding after refusing to build weapons for the war. "I found a body, alien child, recently passed, DNA structure close to type 7 regeneration. I need help." Minutes later, a reply came. "Elliot, are you trying to bring him back?" Elliot didn't answer. Instead, he booked a ship. Small, unmarked, dangerous. Destination: the ruins of Calnaris Prime. The trip took 6 days. Each night, Elliot studied the alien species, their brain patterns, energy cores, and crystal bonding rituals. He realized something terrifying. Their memory wasn't only stored in the brain. It was partly in the soul crystal, the same one Valari had placed on her son's chest. If he could retrieve that crystal and match it with Leon's DNA, there was a 1 in 1,000 chance of full revival. 1 in 1,000. But 1 was more than 0. He landed at night. The wind screamed through the ruins. Black towers leaned like broken bones. Nothing moved, except shadows. He wore a cloaking suit and scanned for life. One life sign, deep below a silver tree. "That's him," he whispered. Leon's body was buried there. He took out the tools, scanned the ground, dug slowly, carefully, and then he found the body. It was still whole, still untouched. Glowing blue veins under the skin, faint but real. He gently lifted Leon's hand, cold, silent, but not lost. Then he saw it. The crystal, on the chest, the memory core. Elliot reached for it, but then a sound, a voice. "Step away from him." He turned slowly. Valari stood behind him. Her eyes glowed in the dark. Her hands were charged with energy, deadly, powerful, and shaking with rage. "You defile his rest," she said. "You steal from the dead." Elliot raised his hands. "I'm not stealing. I'm trying to save him." She didn't move. Her face was stone. "You lie. You are human. You killed him." "Not me," he said softly. "But yes. My kind. I know." A pause. A heavy silence. Elliot dropped to his knees. "My daughter died too." He pointed to his heart. "Right here. I know that pain. And if there's a way, even one small way, to bring him back, would you not take it?" Valari blinked. Her energy faded slightly. "You can't bring him back," she whispered. Elliot placed his hand gently over the crystal. "Maybe not. But I have to try." A long silence. Finally, Valari stepped forward. She looked down at her son. Then at the human. "If you fail," she said, "I will end you." Elliot nodded. "Then I better not fail." And just like that, an enemy became a partner. A promise was born, and fate began to shake. The forbidden DNA theft. The lab was cold. Elliot stood still, his hands resting on the edge of the metal table. Above him, blue lights blinked. Machines hummed softly around him. But inside, he was burning. On the table lay the small alien body, Lien. Peaceful. Silent. Dead. But maybe not for long. Valari stood across from him. Her eyes never left her son. She did not trust the human, not fully. But her anger had shifted. It was no longer fire. It was ice, quiet, sharp, dangerous. "You have one chance, human," she said. Elliot nodded. "I know." For hours they worked in silence. The machines scanned Lien's body, mapping every cell, every nerve. The DNA strands were beautiful, so different from humans yet strangely familiar, like music from another world. But there was a problem. "His DNA is broken," Elliot said. "The blast damaged more than tissue. Some parts of him are missing." Valari clenched her fists. "You said you could save him." "I can try," he replied. "But to do that, I need another sample. Something pure. Untouched." Her eyes narrowed. "What are you saying?" He turned the screen toward her. It showed a location, a vault deep inside a human-controlled zone. "We collected biological samples during the war, for research. One of them might be his." "So," she said coldly, "you want to steal from your own kind?" "I already have," he whispered. That night, he left the lab, alone. The journey to the vault was dangerous. It was hidden beneath a human base called Blackspire, one of the last places the military trusted him with access to, and if they caught him now, he would disappear forever. He wore a stolen ID badge, a lab coat, and a lie on his face. "Inspection," he told the guards. They let him through. Inside, he moved like a ghost. Floor after floor, hallway after hallway. Cameras blinked at him, but his hack worked. For now. Then he reached the vault. It was locked with a triple biometric scan: hand, eye, voice. But Elliot had planned. He opened a small device from his coat. It projected a copy of his former superior's voice. "Access granted," the system said. The door opened. Inside were hundreds of small cryopods. Each one held something precious, something stolen: alien blood, bones, organs, trophies from a silent war. Elliot moved fast, scanning each label until he found it. Subject: Lien 7, minor unknown class. His hands trembled as he took the pod, but just as he turned, "Dr. Hale?" A voice. Behind him stood Captain Mira Dressen, tall, sharp, suspicious. "What are you doing here?" Elliot forced a smile. "Research update. Just checking samples." At 3 a.m., silence. Her hand moved to her gun. "You're not supposed to be here." Elliot knew it was over. Unless... He pulled out a small flash device from his pocket and slammed it into the wall panel. Sparks flew. The lights blinked. Alarms screamed. Red lights filled the room. Unauthorized breach. Lockdown in 30 seconds. Elliot ran. Gunshots followed. He didn't look back. He burst through the emergency exit and dove into his ship. The engines roared. The base behind him vanished into the clouds. He didn't stop flying until he reached orbit. His hands were shaking. He looked down at the cryopod. It was cold, glowing. Inside, pure DNA, pure hope. Back at the lab, Valari was waiting. When she saw the pod, her breath caught. "Is that?" Elliot nodded. "Yes, this is the part of him that remembers everything, the part untouched by war." She stepped closer. Her fingers brushed the glass. "I thought I had lost all of him," she said. "But maybe I was wrong." The next phase was the most dangerous. Elliot connected the pod to the revival chamber. The chamber began to glow, pulling energy from the crystal on Leon's chest and the new DNA sample. Sparks danced. The machines beeped faster. Then, silence. The lights dimmed. The screen went black. "No," Valari whispered. Elliot pressed buttons. Nothing. Then, a faint heartbeat. Slow, steady. "He's coming back," Elliot said. But in the corner of the screen, a warning appeared. "Consciousness unstable. Memory loss expected. Genetic echo conflict detected." Elliot frowned. "What does that mean?" Valari asked. He didn't answer, because he didn't know. Something was wrong, but it was already too late to stop. The door to the future had been opened, and something was stepping through. The truth between enemies. The chamber hissed. Steam curled around the glass as the lights flickered back on. Valari held her breath. Elliot's hand hovered over the control panel, frozen. Inside the pod, the child moved. Leon's chest rose, just a little. A weak breath. Then another. His fingers twitched. His eyes fluttered. "It's working," Elliot whispered. "He's breathing." Valari stepped forward slowly, afraid even her heartbeat might break the moment. Her lips trembled. She hadn't cried since the burial. But now, tears slipped down her face without permission. "My son." But Elliot wasn't smiling. His eyes were locked on the warning flashing across the screen. Genetic echo conflict. Unstable mind patterns detected. He didn't tell Valari, not yet. Not while hope lived in her eyes. The chamber opened. Leon's small body collapsed into Valari's arms. He was warm now, alive, but strange. His head rested against her shoulder, but he didn't speak. His eyes blinked slowly, without recognition. She held him close, whispering words from their homeworld lullabies. "It's me, Leon. Your mother. You are safe now." But Leon only stared. Blank. Confused. Elliot watched from a distance. Something wasn't right. He ran more scans behind her back. The DNA was perfect. The body was healing. The energy signature matched. But the mind was incomplete. 2 days passed. Leon didn't speak. He didn't cry, didn't laugh, didn't ask for food. He just sat, staring at the wall or into space. Valari stayed by his side day and night. She sang. She told him stories from before the war. She held his hand and whispered the names of the stars they used to watch together. But Leon didn't react. Elliot tried to explain. Maybe his memories were lost during death, or maybe the crystal was damaged. "No," Valari said sharply. "He is still in there. I feel him." Elliot wanted to believe her, but he saw the scans. Leon's brain was active, but irregular. Something else was there. Something new. On the third night, it happened. Leon screamed, a terrible, echoing cry that shook the lab walls. His body twisted. His skin glowed too bright. Machines sparked and short-circuited. His eyes turned pure white for 1 second, then back to blue. He fell into Valari's arms, unconscious. Elliot rushed over. "This isn't memory loss. This is something else." He checked the screen. New alert. Foreign imprint detected. Unknown source. "What does that mean?" Valari asked. Elliot hesitated. "I think when we brought him back, we didn't just wake his body. We opened a door. To what? I don't know. But it's not just lying in there anymore." Valari stood, her voice cold and sharp. "What did you do to him?" Elliot looked at her, tired and honest. "I tried to save him. I broke every law, risked my life, stole from my own people. For you. For him. I didn't know this would happen. You brought something back wrong. I brought him back at all." Valari's eyes narrowed. "And if he dies again?" Elliot didn't answer. Outside the lab, something stirred, a signal, weak, almost invisible. But someone, or something, picked it up. Back inside, Valari sat with Lean again. His eyes slowly opened. This time, they met hers. "Do you know me?" she asked. A pause. Then, in a low whisper, "Mother." Her heart stopped. She held him close, tears falling silently. But behind her, Elliot looked at the screen again. Something was wrong with that voice. It was Lean's lips, but the signal pattern was not human, not alien. Something else was speaking through him. In that moment, Elliot understood the truth. He hadn't just defied death. He had challenged something older. Something watching, something waiting, and now it was awake. The experiment begins, the child was awake. But something had changed. In the quiet of the lab, Leon sat up slowly. His skin glowed with a faint, pulsing light. His breathing was steady. Too steady. Controlled. Like a machine trying to act human. Valari clutched his hand. Her heart was full of hope. "You're home," she whispered. "My son. You're safe now." Leon looked at her for a long time. "Mother," he said again. But the voice had a strange echo, like two voices overlapping, one hers, one something else. Elliot stood at a distance watching, thinking. This wasn't a full revival. This was something new. That night, after Valari and Leanne fell asleep, Elliot ran deeper scans. He connected the crystal to a neural monitor, checking the memory patterns, energy flow, brainwave activity. What he saw chilled him. 2 distinct energy signatures. 1, Lien. 2, unknown, parasitic, ancient, not recorded in any human or alien database. It wasn't just death we reversed, Elliot whispered. We disturbed something else. Something had hitched a ride through the door between life and death. The next morning, Leon began speaking more. He remembered songs Valari used to sing. He asked about his home, his toys, the silver tree in their garden. Valari cried with joy. She believed her child was truly back, but Elliot saw the signs. When Leon looked in the mirror, he tilted his head in a strange way, like he was studying a new body. And sometimes he spoke words in languages neither human nor alien. Quarnathi, he said once in his sleep. When Elliot translated it using old war archives, the meaning shook him. The mind that waits. Elliot created a private log, hidden, encrypted. He documented everything. Day 7, the subject is stable, appears emotionally connected to the mother. Memory restoration is partial but smooth. But the second presence is stronger now. It hides behind familiar memories, it's learning, adapting. This isn't a child anymore, it's a vessel. He didn't show the log to Valari. He couldn't. Not yet. She was smiling again, laughing again. Her hope had returned after so many dark nights. How could he tell her the thing she loves might not be her son anymore? But then came the dream. 3 a.m., Lion woke up screaming. Elliot and Valari rushed to his side. They're calling me, he cried. They want me back. I don't want to go. Who's calling you? Valari asked, terrified. Leon stared at her with glowing white eyes. The Watchers. And just like that, he collapsed into unconsciousness. Elliot knew time was running out. The revival worked. But something had followed them back through the science. And now, it was waking up inside the boy. The next step. Containment. Elliot prepared a small, energy-sealed chamber. Soft walls, glowing sensors, memory stabilizers. It looked like a child's bedroom, but it was really a prison. A test cage. He didn't tell Valari the full truth. He told her Liane needed to be monitored, for safety. Valari hesitated. She didn't trust the human fully, but she feared losing her son again more. She agreed. The tests began. Elliot asked Leon questions. At first they were simple. What is your favorite song? What color was your bed? What did you dream of before the war? Leon answered all correctly. But then, without being asked, he said, "And you, Elliot, do you still dream of your dead daughter?" Silence. Elliot froze. He had never spoken to Leon about June, never even said her name out loud near the boy. "How do you know about her?" Leon smiled, but it wasn't a child's smile. You open the door, and doors swing both ways. Elliot rushed out of the room. He barely kept his hands from shaking. He had built this experiment with hope, but hope had brought something terrible into the world. Later that night, Valari confronted him. "You're hiding something." Elliot looked her in the eye. "Yes." "What is it?" He handed her a copy of the scan. 2 energy patterns. 1, her son. 1, something else. Valari's hands trembled. "What have we done?" she whispered. In the test chamber, Leon stood in front of the mirror. He touched his own face. "So fragile," he said. "So easy to break." Then he smiled again. "But oh, so full of possibilities." A second death. The lights in the lab flickered. Elliot stared at the screen in silence. The data was worse than before. The second energy pattern, the intruder, was growing. Slowly, quietly, it was overtaking Leon's brainwaves. "The child's mind is slipping," he whispered. "And the thing inside, it's waking up." In the sealed observation room, Leon stood still. Too still. He hadn't blinked in over 20 minutes. He just stared at the mirror, whispering strange words under his breath. Words from no known language. Words that made the glass hum. Valari entered the lab, her face pale, her hands clenched. "He doesn't eat anymore," she said. "He doesn't sleep, he just stands like he's listening to something." Elliot looked up from the monitor. "He is. Something is talking to him. Something from wherever he was before we pulled him back." "You told me we could fix this," she snapped. Elliot didn't answer right away. "I thought we were saving your son. But I think we created something new, something that was never meant to exist." That night, Leon spoke again, but not like before. He began to describe things. Cities of black stone, oceans that breathe, stars that scream. His voice echoed in the room, low, ancient, like something remembering the shape of a long-forgotten god. Valari begged him to stop. "Come back to me, Leon, please." For a second, his eyes flickered blue, his real eyes. "Mother?" he whispered. Then just as quickly, they turned white again. He laughed. "He's still in here," the thing said through Leon's mouth. "But he's sleeping, and he's dreaming of the stars." Elliot tried one last scan, but when he touched the crystal connected to Lion's chest, it burned his skin. Not heat. Memory. Someone else's memories flooded into his brain. War. Darkness. Coldness without time. An ancient prison made of thoughts. He staggered back, his hands shaking. It's not just an energy. It's a mind. An old, alien mind trapped beyond death. And now it's wearing a child's skin. The next day, the machines failed. The lab lights burst. Screens went black. Leon had stopped pretending. He began to speak in voices not his own. Sometimes one, sometimes many. "Do you know what death really is?" he asked Valari. "It's not silence. It's waiting." Elliot called a meeting with Valari. "We need to shut the experiment down," he said. "You mean kill him?" she replied. He didn't answer. Valari stood outside the chamber, watching her son, or what used to be her son. "He's in there somewhere," she whispered. "I know he is." "Maybe," Elliot said, "but he's not alone anymore." "Then I'll bring him back again." "How many times?" Elliot asked quietly. "How many times are you willing to lose him?" But the choice was taken from them. That night, Lion broke free. Not through doors, through thoughts. The machines bent around him, warping like soft metal. Alarms blared. He stepped out into the lab. calm and glowing. "I remember now," he said. "This body, this world, this war." Valari stepped forward, crying. "Leon, please." He looked at her. Really looked. "Mother," he said, his voice gentle. For 1 second the child returned. His eyes were blue. He reached out. She ran to him, held him tight. "I knew you were still there," she whispered. And then, his body convulsed. A scream ripped through the lab. Not from him, but from inside him. His form began to twist. Too fast, too bright, unstable. Elliot yelled, "He's breaking apart. His cells can't hold both minds." The chamber shook. A pulse of energy knocked Valari back. And then, silence. The light faded. The boy collapsed. Elliot ran forward, checked. For heartbeat, none. He fell to his knees. "He's gone." Valari crawled to her son's body, held it one last time. But this time it was cold. For real. The monitors sparked. A final message blinked across the screen. Containment failed. Consciousness unknown. They had tried to cheat death, but death had come back stronger and it took everything. But as the lights dimmed, somewhere far above, on a listening satellite buried in deep orbit, a signal blinked, an ancient signal, a message, not from the boy, but from what had shared his mind, and something was listening. The memory spark. This is the climax of the saga, where sorrow meets revelation and the line between death and life is redrawn one final time. This chapter delivers emotion, power, closure, and just enough mystery to leave a lasting impact on your YouTube audience. Written in simple English, third person, and designed to be cinematic, suspenseful, and deeply moving. The lab was quiet now. No beeping machines, no glowing screens, no voices, just silence. Valari sat beside her son's body, for hours, her hand in his, unmoving, unblinking. Elliot stood behind her, helpless, defeated. They had tried everything, science, faith, desperation, and they lost. Again. Above the lab, the storm outside howled like a wounded animal. Cold winds swept over the hills. Machines that once hummed with energy now sat dead and dark. Somewhere in the system a signal still blinked, but no one noticed. Not yet. Day 14. Elliot updated his final log. Subject, lean, revived, corrupted, collapsed. Final cause. Of death, neurological conflict. Unknown entity possibly released. Mother emotionally unstable. Mission failed. He closed the file. "I'm sorry," he whispered. But Valari wasn't ready to let go. Not this time. Not like this. She remembered a moment from years ago. Leanne, as a baby, laughing as she hummed an old lullaby. The tune was simple, old, only sung by mothers of her kind. No machine had ever heard it. No file ever recorded it. Only one soul had known it. Hers. And his. She sat beside him now and began to hum. Softly. At first, a broken whisper. Then louder. The same melody. The one she used to sing under the silver tree. Nothing happened. Then, a flicker. Not in the body. Not in the room. In the crystal. The one still resting on Leon's chest. It pulsed. Once. Then again. Elliot turned sharply. "Did you see that?" Valari kept singing. The glow grew stronger, the pulse steadier, like a heartbeat. Elliot scanned it manually. No power source, no energy feed, just one thing, a residual memory. One final spark of Leon's consciousness, trapped, but alive. "It's not over," Elliot whispered. "He's not fully gone." The entity was removed when his body collapsed, but something of Leon remained. "His mind?" Valari asked. "Not fully, but maybe enough." Elliot had one last backup, a secret he never told anyone, a second vessel, experimental, illegal, Cloned from Leon's DNA before the first revival attempt, just in case. We try again, he said, but not to bring him back, to bring back what's left of him. Pure, without the passenger. Valari looked at her son's face, kissed his forehead. One last time. The procedure began, but this time, no resurrection, no full revival, just a transfer. Elliot connected the soul crystal to the new vessel's core. The machine began to pulse, not with power, with music. The melody Valari had sung echoed through the speakers, unprogrammed, raw, emotional. The crystal was remembering. The lab lights flickered, not violently this time, gently. The vessel opened its eyes, no bright white glow, just soft blue. The boy blinked, looked around, and then whispered, "Mother." Valari gasped. Elliot backed away, stunned. "How?" But Valari didn't care. She ran to the child, held him close. He was warm, not perfect, not complete, but real. In the background, the monitors stayed calm. No foreign signal, no echo, no corruption, just one name in the system. Subject, Leon status, partial memory, stable, emotionally responsive, foreign entity, absent. The danger had passed, but somewhere in deep space. The signal that had escaped still floated, still calling, still waiting, but it would not find Leon again. Not now. Not ever. Valari and Elliot dismantled the lab, burned the data, erased the code. They took Leon far away to a quiet place, a planet with silver trees and no war. The boy smiled again. Not because he remembered everything, but because he remembered enough. The sound of his mother's voice, the warmth of her hand, and one simple truth. He was loved. The end.